Context is key when working with AI, which is why VS Code and GitHub Copilot support various means to provide information about what you're building and how you're building it. Asked naively to create a service for fundraisers for a website that I'm building, we can see numerous errors in the generated code as Copilot was forced to make assumptions since it didn't know how things were being built in the back end. One way we can handle this is by creating a Copilot instructions file, which applies to the entire project. For more granular scenarios, we've also introduced prompt files, which allow you to include context for specific operations. In this case here, we've defined one for how we want our services built. We reference the schema file using the hashtag file, preferences on the code generation, and even a template of how we want a new service to look. Let's try that code generation again, this time with the prompt file. We can see Copilot follows the instructions provided and is able to generate code the way we want it structured, how we want it. All of this thanks to the new prompt files.
Wow, I'm muted. StreamYard. So let's start once again. Hey, y'all. Welcome to Open Source Friday, the show where we talk to maintainers about the apps that they're maintaining. I am Kadesha, and I am so excited for today's episode. Today we have Angie Jones from Block to talk to us about Goose. I cannot wait to learn about this project, but I want to know where you're joining us from. I'm joining you from very, very cold Chicago on this Friday morning, and happy Valentine's Day. So it's going to be me and Andrea. You know Andrea, you love Andrea. Hey, girl.
I don't know what love, but hello, friend. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. I can't believe I was muted for so long. You know, I was
Listen, you were doing such a good intro too. I was like, I didn't want to come in and like, but happy V-Day to all of you. I'm joining live from Florida, representing ATO, one of the best conferences on open source. Be sure to check it out this year. Hey, from Boston, from Chicago, from Atlanta, from Queens, from Texas,
Germany.
Welcome. Wow. From my daily stand-up meeting. You're the real MVP there. That I was like, I'm not missing this. It's gonna be quiet, but we're gonna be here. Welcome. Hello, our ex-colleague and friend forever. What's up, Rizal? We missed you.
Rizal.
Welcome. Okay, well, listen. This amazing crowd did not come here to hear us be happy about Valentine's
Listen to us
Day.
say welcome.
Yeah. So I think it's time. It's going to be my absolute pleasure, honor to introduce our guest today. So first, I'm going to read her bio because we must. Angie Jones, everybody. What? Let's give some love in the chat, please. So excited, thrilled, humbled that she's accepted the invitation. Angie is the Global Vice President of Developer Relations at Block Inc. an award-winning educator and international keynote speaker. Angie shares her extensive knowledge with software companies and conferences worldwide. She's a master inventor, y'all, and has been recognized for her innovative, out-of-the-box thinking. She has 27 patented inventions. 27 patented inventions. That's incredible.
She's excellent.
Oh, yes. In virtual worlds, in collaboration software, in social networking, in smarter planet initiatives, and software development processes. We are just absolutely thrilled. Welcome, Angie Jones, a queen indeed. Hello.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you on today to talk all about Goose. And thank you so much for accepting the invite. Happy to have you on the show. So I guess let's get right into it, right?
Let's do it.
Time goes fast when we're having fun. So tell us about Angie firstly, tell us about Block, and tell us about Goose. What is Goose?
Okay. Yeah. So thank you for the introduction. That covered everything about me basically. But yeah, I am so happy to be at Block. Proud of everything the company is doing. So we're all about economic empowerment. You know, I know you've heard of some of our brands, which is Square and Cash App and Tidal. And so we've recently launched an open source program office. And we're not a stranger to open source in the slightest. We have several really popular projects, but we've never really formalized this into OSPO. And so we've done that this year. And the project that we've launched since then has been Codename Goose, which was launched, I think, earlier this month. This has been a really long month already. Maybe end of January. I don't remember the date, but within the last few weeks, we've launched Codename Goose, which is an open source AI agent. For those who are not familiar with agents, a lot of people ask well, okay, there's so many buzzwords in AI. What is all this?
That was my next question.
Yes.
You may have heard of agentic AI or something like that.
Yes.
Essentially what it is basically a bot or an assistant that will talk with an LLM on your behalf and then take actions. So for example, you know how you might talk with let's say ChatGPT or something like that, and you're like, hey, ChatGPT, I ran into this configuration issue. Let me copy the error message. Here you go. And then they say, looks like such and such. They only have a limited amount of context. So they're like, okay, maybe it's this. And you go, oh, all right. And then you go try to do the thing and you come back with your next error. Okay. So what the AI agent does is it connects to your systems in your environment. So it can see what's going on. It has much more context, but not only that, it will take action on your behalf. So it's talking to ChatGPT to say, look, this girl done got herself in a pickle. Here's the error. What do we need to do? ChatGPT gives those same steps. And then the agent says, all right, bet. And they go and do it. And then if they run into any other errors, they're conversing with the LLM. And so I can just kind of sit back and let them let the bots figure it out amongst themselves, you know?
So what I'm hearing you say is, just for clarity, so an AI agent is essentially a connector. So it's connecting you to the LLM. So instead of me going to ChatGPT or Claude or any other LLM chat out there, I go to the agent and I say, hey, I want you to do X using Y or whatever, or not even say using Y, just say, I want you to do X. And then it figures out how to best do that and what agent or model, what model to best talk to for that?
It figures out what it needs to do. So you, with Goose, so this is another cool feature of Goose, is that it's extensible and pluggable. And so it's an agent in and of itself, but you bring in whatever LLM you want to bring in, right? And so if I want to use one of Olama's models, which are local, because Goose is local. So what if I want to do all local stuff? I don't want to go to the cloud at all. I can do that. If I want something a bit more powerful, my system can't handle all of that. I need something, a little bit stronger. I want to go to one of the cloud models. I can do that as well. So I can pick whichever LLM I want, plug it into Goose. And so, yeah, Goose will talk with that LLM of my choice. And let me just say, I didn't realize this, but the experience varies greatly depending on the model.
Oh, the model, yeah.
Yeah,
I see.
I'm learning a lot.
So we see that in Copilot as well, don't we?
Yeah,
Yes, we
yeah.
do.
So, it'll talk with that and do the action. That's the key part, is that it takes action versus telling me what to do. You know what I mean? It'll do the things for me. So even if it's something as simple as, oh, you need to run this command in order to like install such and such. Instead of telling me that, or like, I'm like, how do I run it? How do I open my terminal? How do I, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It'll just do the thing. And I don't need all the details,
Yes, I love it. I love it. I feel like, what was it? Last year was the year of the agents. This year is gonna be the year of like agentic implementations, having those workflows on top of the power of LLMs and be able to just get them to go and do the thing. Go and do the thing for me. Why did Block want to create an AI agent? Like, where did this come from? And congratulations on the OSPO office. I think it's awesome. All companies should have an OSPO office. Like, we have to show up for open source, and it's gonna only make your company better. So
that's right.
Super kudos on that. But what motivated Block to begin thinking about, hey, this is the direction we want to go with open source here? Let's get into AI agents.
Our office of the CTO is very focused on making sure that our developers have what they need and that they're productive, right? Mm-hmm. And so with that comes a lot of things. We have, a team focused on developer experience and all of these various things, but we also have AI teams that are focused on tooling and stuff like that. And so they created this tool initially internally. So our internal engineers have been using the tool for several months now. And we're seeing how productive they are, how much more efficient they are. So the engineers, it's an opt-in, it's not mandated or anything, but the engineers internally who are choosing to use Goose for their day-to-day work are shaving off like 20% of their work time, right? And so they're like, oh, wow, it can handle this. I can't tell you how many times I've like said, Goose, go do this thing. And then I go focus on something else. So now I'm doing two things at one time because I've delegated some stuff to this AI agent, right? And so once we saw like how great this was, we're, like I said, we're not a stranger to open source. We've just formalized it. And so we wanted to put it out there. Hey, and not for a fee. That's not what we are about, right? We're about economic empowerment. We're about making sure people have access to the things that they need. And we love developers, both internally and externally. And so, hey, here it is. Open source this and folks can run with it. Not only that, we've also worked with Anthropic, as well as several other companies, to co-author a protocol for agents to talk with all of these systems. So remember, I told you, like, it's on machine and I can connect it to any of my systems. The reason I'm able to do that is because of this open protocol. And that protocol is called Model Context Protocol. This really changes the game, okay? So with the Model Context Protocol, any vendor or regular community member, like me, you, we can create essentially like this system or server that will expose functionality of any API, right? And so in doing that, because it followed this protocol, Goose is able to connect with any of these servers. So as long as you've built it on that same protocol, you say, hey, Goose, here's a server for you, and it could do whatever. So there's ones for like Google Drive, for Gmail, for Slack, for Trello, and, Asana and GitHub, right? And so with that, I'm able to just simply say, hey, Goose, I want to add this extension, and you can add however many extensions. This protocol came out the end of last year. I want to say maybe November-ish, November, December. it already over 1,000 of these MCP servers, and MCP is Model Context Protocol. So it's already over 1,000 of these servers. People are so excited. And as a developer, you go and you look at like this directory of 1,000 extensions that you can add to Goose. And it's like a kid in a candy
That's
store.
crazy.
Oh, and then your dev brain starts spinning like, what can I do? What can I do?
I love it. Okay, I did not dig into that. I did not know what the work that went behind the scenes to create the MCP and create that compatibility with all the extensions. That's what the sauce is there. I want to bring up a question. This is my favorite question to ask. How much is this gonna cost me?
Okay, great question. So Goose is open source and free. There's no charge to use Goose by itself. Here's where your fees are going to come in, whatever model you choose, right? That's why the world got so excited when we saw like DeepSeek, which was an open source model. You start getting excited about that. But for right now, most of the more powerful models do incur a cost, right? And so you would just pay for your token usage and stuff like that. But Goose itself, there's no charge to it.
Thank you. Awesome. Okay. So there was this need, you wanted to make your developers happy, contribute to open source, make all developers happy. And you saw the gap there. I love how you mentioned personally how you're like, I can start it, getting it to work on something for me while I go and do something else. Like that is so cool. More questions about how it decides what to pick first. Like I played with it a little bit, and I was, one of my reactions was like, what? How did they choose this specific file to be the first recommendation that it gave me? But I was only working locally. I had not added any of the available extensions via MCP. So super interesting to understand a bit better about how it decides, like if it's code editing, like is it gonna add new code, or is it gonna generate new code? Is it gonna edit the existing code? Like how those decisions are made. Yeah, and then I guess somebody asked on the chat, are we gonna see a demo? Of course we're gonna see a demo.
Of course we're gonna see a demo. It's Open Source Friday.
Of course we are. So
let me tell y'all how brave I'm being by even doing a demo. Like doing anything live is scary.
Oh yes.
You add AI to it, and you don't know what you're gonna get. So I mean, we're in for a treat here.
All right, good.
Let's get it though.
What do you think? Should we jump into the demo so we can take a look at the code, and then we can grab some questions? Let's do that.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. So let me share my screen. All right. So this is Goose. Goose comes in CLI as well as desktop. The desktop works for Mac. CLI if you are on Linux, or if you're like me, I use Mac, but I really prefer CLI. But for a demo, a desktop looks great. So anyway, this is the desktop version. I'll show you like some of my settings I have configured. So these are like my models. I'm using this kind of I got a nickname that's Goose, but this is basically Anthropic's Claude model.
Okay.
And then here are the extensions. So some of these come built in with Goose, and you can just enable them. So the developer one, this will do things like on your command line and stuff like that. The computer controller can do things on your computer, like launch a browser, use your keyboard and things like that. There's this cool memory extension where if I need Goose to remember something, for example, I told it like, go learn everything about this specific topic and store it in your memory so that I can use it, use that information later on. There's JetBrains. Here's the GitHub one. This is the one I'll demo today. There's a Google Drive one. So one of my colleagues, Ebony, she just used the Goose, the Google Drive extension to do this really cool use case. She's like, hey, I got a meeting in 30 minutes and I didn't do my presentation. Can you like go to my Google Drive and like fetch all of the documents that are about this specific topic and put together a report for me? And within seconds she had a report.
Wild.
And then this fetch one, can go and like talk to APIs and stuff like that. So, all right. This is the prompt. You talk to it just like you would talk to your LLM, you basically, I'm going to say, hey, can you create a new branch called, and let's call it OSF for Open Source Friday. And I'm going to tell it my repo, which is Angie Jones / Goose demo. All right. So let's do this. And then what do we want it to do? Maybe like add a new file called osf.txt.
Okay.
Let's say it contains hello GitHub. I'm Goose. And go ahead and commit that file. All right. And then let's say I want you to open a pull request with your changes. All right.
Okay.
Oh, I should have probably authenticated. So all right, it's gonna be like a slight, in fact, let me do this now because y'all gonna be talking about me.
No.
And you're okay. And
I'm gonna make I'm gonna make a new session and I'm just gonna say something like I don't know, list files in this directory. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm at work, right?
So it's looking at your directory of your computer, your local directory.
Okay. So I had like a confirmation come up to just authenticate me to my my LLM thingy. That won't happen for you, but I'm behind like firewalls and stuff. All right, we ready?
Okay, let's do it.
All right.
Let's get it.
Okay.
Goose is working on it. I love the animation of like a goose speeding.
You.
So you had to, is this a, ooh, look at that.
Okay. So look, it's telling me step by step, like, all right, yeah, sure, girl, I got you. And so it's like, all right, I'm creating a branch and it'll give you the output if you're like a geek and you really want to know what's going on. It says, okay, now I'm creating the file. All right, I'm doing the pull request. And this shows like what tools that it's using. Tools are a part of that MCP server. So every MCP server will expose a set of tools. And these tools are basically API calls, right? You're exposing that.
Gotcha.
So it says, all right, I got you. I completed everything. Here's what I've done. And then here's your pull request. It gives me a link to it. If I wanted it to even like say like review it or like merge it, it could do all of that. But you know, you might want to say, all right, Goose, trust is earned, not given, you know. So
slow down. We're gonna look at it first.
So let's go and let's see. So look at there. We have the pull request.
Wow.
That is wild.
And then we can go let's see. Let's look at this guy.
And what was that? Just your GitHub token? Like when you set up the extension, you just give
a question. And so I need to, some of these extensions require some API key or some token, some access, right? And so wait, before I get into that, let's sit and
look at this.
I mean, look at this pull request.
Hello,
That's
GitHub.
crazy.
I told hello, GitHub, I'm Goose. You know what I mean? He made a little message. I didn't even tell him to make that, but he knew what was going on. It's beautiful.
That's crazy, Angie.
All right. So how did I do this, right? Because look, it is pull request under my name. And so what I needed to do is create a personal access token on GitHub. Now, here's where you want to, you know, have some controls in place. And fortunately, GitHub allows you to have these granular controls that you can give access to, you know, whoever. So what I said was, you can say, like, oh, I want to give Goose access to everything, like all of my public repos or all of my private or everything. Me and Goose are in a new relationship here. Okay. So I'm not saying you have access to everything. I gotta trust you. So what I've done is I've given Goose access to this specific repo and then one other that we're working on a side project together. So I gave Goose access to 2 repos, and then I said what Goose can do. So you can read and write, you know, and it's granular. So you can say like, okay, you can only do this or you can only do that.
Okay. And the minute you
Wow.
wanna, you can revoke that token anytime too. So it's you
Yeah.
have control of that. That's super
right.
important. I'm sure people
That's
like
right.
they're
You can
concerned
even
about
set expiration. So if you're working on a
Yes.
specific project, you can say, all right, the deadline is in a month. So I'm just going to set it to a month and then that'll expire. That's right.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can imagine an entire flow here based on extensions, right? Like I could do something like, oh, hey, Goose, I want you to like build this project for me. When you're done, I want you to create a repo for it. I want you to commit it. Let me know when it's all done. I can put the Slack extension in there. Send me a message on Slack when you're finished, you know? So you can kind of mix and match these different extensions to like do whatever.
Mm-hmm. And you say there's over 1,000 extensions right now. I gotta find where the extensions are because we gotta.
So let me show you the model context protocol repo.
Perfect.
So okay, the model context protocol, they have some that they've already kind of done. If we go to the servers repo, we'll see these are their reference servers. So here is where you see the GitHub one. But these are a few more that they have done. But like I said, anyone can make a server. So there's a lot of community ones as well. Here's a few third-party types of servers. And then here are some community servers here. So this is my first stop because, you know, this is, I don't know, I just feel like this is a good like source of truth.
Yeah.
But there's also this other cool website called Pulse MCP. And Pulse is where, so this is truly community driven. So anybody can like post their server here. So you see now they have like over 1,000 of them. You see all of these different ones. They have classifications and which ones are popular. GitHub is popular, y'all. And so you see like all of these different things. You can search for them. And this is the toy store.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that's crazy. So we had a question in the comments about so what if I run my own model locally? Can I connect that with Goose to help me do things?
Yes, of course, you can do that. So I'm going to say it's possible, but what we're seeing is some of those local models might not be like your system might not be powerful enough to do like the types of things that you're doing, right? You're doing a lot here when you try to connect all this stuff together. But like if you have the hardware to get it done, then most certainly you can do that. Another thing that you want to be mindful of when choosing an LLM is these agents rely on a specific type of communication, and that's called tool calling. And so if you were to go on, let's say something like Olama, which has local models, right? So if I want to go here, what I'm looking for is tools. So you want to have a model that actually supports tool calling. If it doesn't support tool calling, then your agent is not going to be able to actually take the actions that the LLM is telling them to take.
Okay. Right. And can you break down what tool calling is for us?
Yeah, of course. So tool calling is essentially, so remember I said you can have any API. I'm going to take this example because I'm building my own MCP server right now for Selenium WebDriver. So everybody knows like I love automation and stuff like that.
Yes.
So Selenium WebDriver is like a test automation tool. And so I'm building an MCP server for it. With that, there's a lot of like API calls that are naturally built in. Open a browser, search a web page, enter tags, like all of these things, click a button. So that stuff is features that's in the API. What you want to do is expose those as tools. That's what that's called. And so if I say, I want to make a tool that opens a browser, I would call that tool Open Browser. And then I can implement the code that happens, which is basically the call to Selenium. So it's a wrapper essentially around API endpoints.
I see.
All right. I
Oof.
appreciate that. Okay, so you're creating your own. Anyone can create their own. Their model just needs to be able to connect, right? It needs to be able to act, I guess, agentically. Am I using that right? It needs to be able to act
Yeah.
agentically to interact with the machine. You mentioned something about the different types of LLM. Should we ask this question? Because I did want to know about the because it's and thank you to Max who mentioned that Goose itself is extremely light. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And I know we talked about memory a little bit, but for the folks who are maybe new to working with LLMs and your experience, since you're actually building your own NCP now, LLMs are better things. Some are better at things than others. I think it's a matter of preference, right? Like I have my favorite. I won't be, it's like kids, you can't be saying them out loud. You love them all the same. But I have my favorite for different things. But since you've been working with Goose, have you noticed like any certain types that are better at performing certain tasks? I saw that you were using Gemini and then you had a Claude that was like your own name. Mine is called Claudito. But it's Claude, but it's Claudito. Any advice that you can give us, like when we install Goose and we want to start experimenting on like, for what kind of task? Like if I'm gonna get in and I want it to be like this power tool that's helping me organize files or helping me with code, like any recommendations as to what LLMs will lean on?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Great question.
We're learning a lot. Like since we launched this, that's the great thing about like open source and community. Like they'll let you know what they need. And so, you know, like you said, everyone has their preference of LLMs and you're like, no, I always use this. But that specific model might not be the best for agentic type of workflows, right? And so what we want to do is create like basically a matrix to kind of show, you know, it's not like we prefer one model over another, but these models are better at certain things, right? That's just a given, right? And so if you're looking to do something, you know, around images or something, like maybe this is the better model for you. If you're looking to do, you know, just kind of development work, like this might be the better model, right? And so we're working on a matrix to put together. Hopefully that'll be out soon.
Awesome.
There's several models. I mean, I just tell people to try them, but like I said, they work differently. Like your experience can be like totally different depending on which model. Like some of the models are even, they make Goose shy. Like I've seen like you with certain models, Goose will say, okay, here's the command you run it. And I'm like, why are you telling me to run a command, Goose? You run the
Good job.
You do it.
And they're like, oh, okay. And then other models, Goose is like, oh, you want to do this? All right, I'm gonna do this, and this. And it goes like berserk and like doing all the things. And I'm like, whoa, slow down, Goose. So that's an interesting observation. Like the model kind of determines like Goose's personality, if you will. And so I encourage people to like maybe try out a few and see like which one you like, what flavor you like. I really like the Anthropic Claude one. Gemini, they have like a free tier. So that's a great one to kind of get started with where, all right, I don't know you, Goose. I ain't ready to put no money towards it. Let me try Gemini with Goose. And then you can kind of try some things for free, right? But mind you, you are going to run into things like rate limits and stuff like that when you're on the free models. Yeah.
So here's another interesting question. So what are the system requirements for running Goose locally?
Yeah. Okay. Great question. So it depends on if you're going to do like the CLI or the desktop. Like I said, the desktop is only supported on Mac OS and like only on the newer ones. So I was telling Kadesha and them like, oh, I got a new system. I hope everything is set up for the demo. I had to get a new system, y'all, because I was Max is actually in the audience, and I had an Intel. And Max was like, all right, it's time for you to upgrade, girl. It's an Electron app. And so I couldn't run it on the Intel one. But
this is an Electron app?
Oh, yes, it is.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. But then for the CLI, that one is supported on both Linux and Mac.
Okay.
The Windows users came for us, okay, when this launched.
Yes.
Like, whoa, what about us? And we were like, oh. True, right? And so Max, who's in the audience, is actually doing a ton of work to get a Windows version available. But right now, Windows users are using WSL in order to connect. That's how much they wanted to try it out. And so they've been having some success with that, but we want to get them a proper one. So we're working on that too.
Okay. I mean, I only see it evolving more and more. Like you're gonna be running this in places that are gonna be surprising. Cool. Yeah, like that is very, very cool. Okay, let's talk. Should we talk about security a little bit? Because I do wanna, or go ahead, go for it, lady.
I had one more question I wanted to ask because I'm also curious. So I'm wondering how MCP handles load balancing and optimizes routing for frequent API requests, because Goose it's pinging a whole bunch of stuff at the same time, right? So like, how does it manage all that?
Right. So it takes the task and kind of does it one by one. Leave that question up so I don't forget what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There we
go.
All right. It takes the request and kind of like does it like one by one, right? And so, for example, we saw with the GitHub thing, it didn't try to like do it all. It knew like these were sequential types of steps. And so it did it like really quickly, but it did it in order, right? That's the other thing I tell people about these agents is that they move a lot faster than you move. So you can easily run into like something like a rate limit where you're hitting API quickly. So some of the things we've done for that is like recommend people use stuff like Open Router. So Open Router will allow you to put like a couple of different LLMs in there, and it'll like kind of handle a lot of the optimization of the routing and stuff like that for the request. And it might like delegate a couple of different ones to different LLMs on your behalf. So that's a really good solution for using like these AI agents.
Okay. Thank you so much. And thank you for the question, Chicago Everywhere. I appreciate it.
Yes.
And thank you for the faith there, Black Girl Bites. She's like, not y'all wondering big brain stuff. Girl, there's nothing but big brains in this here Open Source Friday, okay? So bring your questions. We got answers. All right. No, this has been super, super interesting. And please keep asking questions. Like, we're so fortunate to have Angie here today. Can we talk about security? Because I do want to ask because questions, right? And especially for GitHub, it's very clear to me how it works because I know I can revoke a token anytime I want to. And I know that you know, like giving power to an agent is not going to mean you're going to go and run amok on all my repositories unless I've given you agency to do it. Any maybe high level overview of how it's handling data security, like just out of curiosity, I'd love to understand that better. And then folks, I think there was another question about running local or something. I'll find that question in a moment. But if you don't mind, like just for our understanding, like what's happening to this data. I know that most of us probably work with LLMs at one point or another. So we get the gist of that. But when it comes to Goose, what's Goose remembering?
Yeah. Great question. For those who follow me, you know that even before we released Goose, like I've been writing blog posts and things like really talking about security as I was studying like this agentic space, you know, and I'm like, wait, we just like handing over our keys and the things like that, like what's going on, right? For Goose, it is on machine. So Goose is local. It's not sending, it's not doing anything with your data. It's not storing it in a cloud. It's not sending it back to us or anything like that, right? And so you're safe with that. Depending on the model you choose, right? That might be, like you say, you know about the LLMs. They like if you choose a cloud model and Goose needs to talk to the cloud model, then the cloud model might be doing whatever. I don't know. I'm not going to speak on any of the models behalf, but
read those terms and services.
Which is why a lot of people got really excited about Goose being local. And if you're using a local LLM, like now everything is in house and you don't have to worry about anything being exposed, right? But Goose will also, like for example, the API keys and stuff like that. So I'm storing those things in like my local kind of key ring. Goose can access it, but it's not like sending it over. In fact, Goose will warn me like, oh, look, to use this specific extension, you need an API key, but don't tell me your business, girl. Go on and set it in the environment variable or something, you know? So I appreciate that.
Okay.
Interesting. So that means then the memory is also local. Then it's not.
That's right.
It's not being sent anywhere. It's just local to our machine.
That's exactly right.
I think that answers a lot of the questions that we had about
I mean,
security and
how
how
Goose.
handling data security. But listen, folks,
Yes.
and I'll be remiss if I don't do the PSA. The more you know, read the terms of service before you start clicking on, especially working with models, because like Angie said, like we know what Goose can and cannot do, but look at the models you're working with and make sure that your data is secure. This is the question of the year right here. Chicago everywhere.
Why is it named Goose?
Why is it named Goose? So I don't know how much like I should say.
What is it? We listen, we don't judge here in Open Source Friday. Please tell us if you can. That's fine.
Okay, so remember the movie Top Gun? Like I don't know, I've never even seen.
Oh yeah. Like you,
Cassidy. But like Top Gun, like the like sidekicks' names was Goose.
Yeah,
and so like Goose, help. I never saw the movie, so I can't like get into a whole bunch about like what Goose did, but it's a sidekick, and
Oh, that is so smart. Okay, I get it now. I get it. And Maverick and Goose. That's right. Maverick.
Yeah, that's right.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So you be Maverick,
cool.
and Goose be your sidekick.
All right. Okay. Good.
So I had a question about the extensions. How do we add more extensions to either like the CLI or the app?
Okay, great question. So if you go to the Goose website, there's this extensions link in the header. And these are extensions that we've tested out ourselves and we know like kind of work pretty well. And so some of them are built in. There's 4 built-in ones right now. We're working on adding some more built-in ones. But these built-in ones are ones like we either developed ourselves or like included or whatever. And so the developer, computer controller, memory, and the JetBrains are, so this JetBrains one we didn't build ourselves, but we, included it by default. And then the other ones that we have here on the directory are knowledge graph memory. So this memory gets like a bit more intense with like graph stuff for the real big brain thinkers out there. Fetch, Get, Tavily, Web Search, and Figma. So Figma is also cool. So Ace, who's also my colleague, Ace did a live stream yesterday where he took a Figma file. He told Goose like, hey, Goose, here's like my Figma file ID. Go build that design. Wow. And like within seconds, Goose like built the website based on the design, which is like amazing, right?
Wild.
I know. So adding an extension, if it's built in, it's just a matter of toggling it. Let me pull Goose back up.
And these extensions are open source as well, right? Like
all of those are open source extensions. So I would go to settings, and then the built-in ones I can just toggle on or off. But then if I wanted to add an extension that wasn't on that list, I can just do add. And then I would give it like, a name and a description and then the command. So the command would come from, let's go to one of these servers. I'm just going to pick one. Let's say Cloudflare maybe. All right. So I would go to the GitHub repo. And everyone is doing a really good job of kind of like writing in their readmes and things. But in talking about like, so these are the tools, right? These are the tools that are available. But I'm going to scroll down and kind of look for, oh, they don't have it. I picked a bad one. Shout out to that team.
Shout out.
Let me go to y'all missed y'all chance, child. Trying to show you all. Okay. Let's go somewhere else. Let's go to, I don't know. Y'all pick one. Oh, a video editor.
Replicate.
That sounds amazing. Now, see, I'm seeing things I want to try out now.
Right.
Look at this.
So look at this video editing.
Let me
tell y'all the power of this stuff. So this is video editing. If I plug this into Goose, now I can edit videos in natural language. What I'm doing is removing the barrier to having to learn how to use all of these different tools. You know, I know all of you have done something where you're like, how does the tool work? I gotta go read documentation. I gotta do this. I've removed all of that. And now if I include this in natural language, I could just say, hey, Goose, can you like make me a clip from, you know, this mark to that mark or something like that, right? So anyway, let me see if they have the thing. They do have the thing. So this would be like their command, like this NPX, whatever, this NPX model context. So I would take this command right here, and then in Goose, I would just go ahead and paste that into there. And notice it's saying like my API key or whatever. That should probably be an environment variable, but you get the gist, right? So I would just put the command in there, and now that extension has been added to Goose.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's simple.
This is amazing. There are so many extensions here. I can spend.
I know.
I know. Y'all don't get how excited I am. And like,
I know.
All I want to do is like play with
this is so cool. Okay, before we run out of time, because like listen, and the problem is that the minute we start playing with these extensions, we're gonna want to build our own, and we're gonna want to contribute our own, and then there goes our day and our life. But for the project itself, like what kind of contributions are you looking for? Let's talk a little bit about that, because that's what we're here, so that we bring more community, more juice to open source, more goose to open source.
More goose. Great. The community has been amazing thus far. Like Goose was like #1 trending on GitHub.
Yes.
People have been so supportive. They love the project, but they also love to give back. So anything that you might want to contribute, like there's a lot of issues. The team is doing a great job of like getting through these issues. But like if there's something that you want, like I said, this is open. So we've seen contributions where people have maybe added new LLM providers. Like we have a list of ones right now. But hey, you might say, I want this provider. That's my LLM of choice. Go ahead and add it to the project. You can do that, right? Documentation is always helpful. So we have really good docs, but if there's something that's unclear or something like that, by all means, please contribute that back. Any other things? I think we have like maybe a help wanted or something like that. Yeah, this help wanted tag. And so here are some issues that we would love like some help with. Anybody who has any of these other machines, Max wants to talk to you. So we all are working on our MacBooks. But if you have like Windows machines or Linux or something like that, you would be very helpful. Like if you're like, hey, I don't want to write no code, but I'm happy to like test something out for you. You know, just come in and hang out with us in Discord.
Oh yes, let's share that as well.
Yes, the Discord.
Okay, on this, the website is block.github.io/goose, and then here's our Discord link if you wanna join it.
Oh, they have the best emojis. I don't know what they're called. I'm not cool enough, kids. I don't be hanging out on Discord.
I couldn't tell you.
But the lovely community. You can tell there is a lot happening there. So definitely pop in there so that you can start building. I'm going to drop the direct link into the chat so folks can go in and introduce themselves. And listen, if you have, like, I love how it's trying to be more inclusive. So if there is something here that you don't see represented in your own work or in your own interest, open source. Come on in.
Right. Open source. Yeah, like I saw a question about can you add voice control to Goose? Like to speak to tell it to do stuff.
Yeah, that's something that people have been requesting, and it's not in there yet. So, you know, definitely if somebody wanted to work on something like that, or even, you know, I'm from the school of even opening issues is contributions. You know, like let us know what you're looking for if it's not there.
100%, 100%. Okay, this is amazing. What's coming up next for Goose in the next? If you can share like in the next couple of months. I feel like it's been a whirlwind,
Yeah.
but listen, you say like it felt like it was last month, this month. It feels like it's always been here. That we need to boost. So what's coming up in the next couple of months?
Yeah,
that-
we're actually working on a roadmap, which I want to share soon. So we're kind of nailing down because we
Nice.
want to do everything. You know, you can imagine like when you get this sort of
Yeah.
reception and people have ideas and requests, and you're like, oh, we want to do all the things. So we're prioritizing right now. We're going to publish open roadmap and let the community kind of, contribute to ideas and discussions around what would be useful for them as well. But we've been in listening mode. We're listening on the GitHub issues, on the GitHub discussions, and Discord, on social media, and kind of seeing like what the community is requesting and trying to meet those requests. And so we dropped so this is 1.0. I said, I don't know, it's been less than a month. Yeah, I don't know how long, but it's been less than a month since Goose has been out. We're already on 1.0.6. So we're releasing based on like what people are asking for, what contributions they're even providing. So we're releasing updates. We just released yesterday, and there's a couple of cool new features in there. One is like a tutorial extension. So you can like enable within Goose, you know how we talked about those extensions. You can enable this tutorial extension, and then inside of Goose, it'll kind of walk you through how to do stuff, right?
Oh.
And so, for example, I can say, all right, Goose, I want you to like teach me how to use such and such or whatever. And it'll kind of ask some questions like, all right, like, are you a beginner? Are you like intermediate? Are you advanced? You say like, yeah, I've been doing this thing for a long time. I'm advanced or whatever. It's like, okay. And it'll tailor like the tutorial to you. So, these are some of the like kind of help people use it. This AI agent stuff is new to a lot of us. So, helping people help themselves or whatever. A lot of the questions that people ask me about Goose, I'm like, you really can ask Goose itself. Like you can say, hey, Goose, like, here's a link to an extension I want to install. What do you like? What would that thing do? What would I be able to do with it, or something like that? You know what I mean? And it'll answer the question for you. And so I let Goose help me a lot.
Yeah.
That's amazing. There was a question in the audience about, can you use, what is it? Can Goose use Goose to build Goose? Can Goose build another Goose?
We used Goose to build Goose. We actually did. So we had like a previous version, a beta version before 1.0. We wanted to rewrite Goose in Rust, which is the 1.0 that you see. And so a good majority of the Goose that you know and love today was written by his predecessor, Goose.
What?
You can use
Inception.
In fact, that MCP server that I talked about for Selenium, I actually have Goose like writing that for me. So like, one of the things I want to say, like people think, oh, these AI agents, then what's left for me to do? I feel like we really co-authored this thing. Like, even though Goose did like a lot of the heavy lifting, I had to do a lot of kind of directing and pointing it.
Yes.
Like, okay, here's the MCP protocol. Here's where the SDK lives. Here's some examples. Here's what I'm looking for. Can you build it? And it took a first attempt, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't really like that. Or you didn't include like all of these sorts of features. Like, oh yeah, all right, cool, I'll add that. And there's a lot of kind of back and forth and iterating.
Mm-hmm.
Got it where we wanted it. But even then, like once we had it, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go test this. Like, oh, Goose, it doesn't work. And I said, oh, let me see. But at least it wasn't me having to figure it out. Goose is like, okay, yeah. Oh, I see where it's messing up. Like they expect this. Let me change this. Da 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 da. And it was like committed back to me and published the NPM package. It was like doing all the nitty gritty stuff that I don't want to do.
That's amazing. It's like GitHub Copilot, that you still need a pilot. Like you still need a Maverick, friends. Goose need a Maverick.
That's okay.
Right. You can't
need a Maverick. That's right.
That makes sense.
That's amazing.
This is
And I love that
amazing.
perspective because I'm always like, yeah, I mean, the AI is going to do a lot of the work, but we also we have to validate the work, right? We have to make sure it's correct, it's secure, it's following company standards, all that jazz. So like there is still a lot of relevancy for us. But I think this may be like our last question. So Angie, as a VP of Developer Relations, as an OG and a Java champion,
Boss
what do you
lady in the world.
suggest?
Yes.
Yes, as
I'm
an
ready to take notes.
engineer in the field, what do you suggest new and mid-level engineers focus on now that we have things like Goose and like all these amazing AI tools coming out?
Yeah, great question. I think we need to make sure like we understand the foundations as engineers. Like I feel like we kind of got away from that and people became like super specialized in a certain topic. Like, oh, I know React really well, but like I don't know JavaScript or you know what I'm saying? Like understand the foundations of this stuff very well because you're gonna need this. Sometimes I'll say, all right, Goose. For example, I say, hey Goose, I want you to update my project. So I'm a Java girl and Java has new releases every 6 months. And so I was like, I need you to update my project. I'm on like Java 14. They're now on Java 21. So me trying to do this, I don't want to run into issues. Hey Goose, I need you to update it. And while you're at it, can you like update my code too to use some of the more modern features? And so Goose did that, but Goose got really excited and just started like updating features that maybe didn't need to be updated. But I had to have like the wherewithal to look at that and say, all right, I think this might be a bit over engineered. What do you think, Goose? And Goose like, yeah, I did get a little silly. I want to try out the new stuff. We get like that sometimes as engineers. You want to try out the new features.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, let me scale it back. Let me only add the new features that you really need. And you didn't need all of it. I'll take some of that out for you or whatever. But so as a mid-level, I mean a senior, anybody, like focus on making sure like you're aware of your craft. Don't like blindly give all of this stuff over to the AI agents. We still need like your eye on it. We still need you to kind of direct it. And you're smart. You know what I mean? Like I said, you need to do a lot of guiding and stuff to kind of get it to what you're looking for. And you need to know what to ask of that. I'm going to say this though. I see a lot of people, specifically like more senior kind of engineers, and like, oh, I'm fine with it or whatever, without using the AI tools. And I'm not just talking about tools. I'm just talking about in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you might be fine. I'm not saying you're not. But if we look at the landscape of things, I just told you that a bulk of our engineers were using this to become more efficient. And so they were saving 20% of their time, which gives them 20% of their time to do something else. If you look at this person compared to the person that's not doing that, who do you think looks better? Who do you think is more successful? You see what I mean? And so don't be like hesitant. You can definitely be curious. You can even be pessimistic. You can be critical.
It's good to be skeptical. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So figure out what these tools are, what they're doing, what's happening in the space. And then it's equivalent to if someone, like back in my day when I was in school, we used to write I'm getting my age. We used to write code on like paper, like that was our test. We would write code with like a pencil, and we would submit our projects on a floppy disk. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So times they change. This happens all the time.
Exactly.
Things evolve. So you don't want to be the person that's still writing your code with a pencil when everybody else is using an AI agent.
You'll be left behind. You'll be left behind. Yep. Thank you so much. That is brilliant advice. Everyone here, whether you are, and if you're tuning into this and you're just starting your career and you're thinking, okay, I can skip to just these agents are going to do all the work, like understanding fundamentals is going to take you a longer way. So get that knowledge first and then augment your abilities get that extra 20%, right? And get this type of tools to do the boring stuff, and you go do the fun things.
Yeah.
Go write the code and come up with the great business ideas that make you all the monies. I love this. Okay. Angie, where can people connect with you? I'm beaming your LinkedIn here. Are you going to be speaking anywhere else soon? Like, where can we see you? Like, I can talk to you. I can listen to you talk for hours, but I'm like, I can talk to you for hours too. But where can we connect? LinkedIn for everyone. Go ahead and follow Angie.
I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram if you want to hang with me in a like non-techie way.
There you go. I'm gonna share your website. Yeah, I'm gonna share your website.
My website, because then that's all my links. So it's angiejones.tech.
It is beautiful, y'all. If you ever seen a beautiful website, go to this website if you want to see a beautiful website. This is a beautiful website.
Thank you so much.
It is gorgeous. It is gorgeous.
Let's see where I'm gonna be, because I have like all these events coming up I'm so excited about. All right, so Selenium Conf, which is why I'm building the MCP server.
Okay.
All right. They don't know that yet. So Selenium Conf, that'll be in Valencia. That's next month. And then I'm doing .js in Paris.
Nice.
I'll be at I saw y'all give a shout out to All Things Open. I'm not speaking at All Things Open AI, but I am going to All Things Open. So would love to see you all there if you're going to be there. MOT Athens, which is in Greece. So I've never been to Greece. I'm really excited about that one. And then We Are Developers in Germany.
That's a great conference.
So,
yes. Awesome. All right.
Traveling queen.
The world
tour.
Yes. Yes. So listen. Oh, Angie, eat all the feta in Greece.
Oh,
that's what it says. Okay. Listen, if you're gonna be in any of these places and you're looking for an amazing speaker to go listen to, go. Because now you know Angie's gonna be there. The Selenium Conf is gonna be interesting. I have a friend of mine that's gonna be out there. If he's watching this, he's gonna be like, "Can you introduce me to Angie? I wanna introduce you." I already have that. That's gonna be sitting on my inbox. I already have that. Amazing. So, folks, connect. Calls to action. Check out the website, Angie's website as well, and go start the repo. I love to see Goose trending some more. Like it's such an incredible project. We didn't even scratch the surface of what's possible.
Did not.
Like, it's unbelievable, all the things that the community can do. Someone left a comment, and listen, I'll be remiss if I don't bring it up because this is my life, so it affects me. That they hope someday the documentation will be in multiple languages. Well, I bet you there is a Goose that can help you with that. And that can be a lovely contribution to the project to do some alternate language documentations, spoken languages. So yes, 100% yes. Angie, anything else you want to leave us with? And thank you so much. You've been so generous with your time. I told you like 45 minutes. A lot.
Thanks for having me. No, I can talk about this all day. Like I'm super excited. If you can't tell, I love working on like cutting edge technology, and this is that for me. So it's scratching an itch. It's really good. I love like all of the possibilities. I've only tried a handful of the extensions, and so I have my eye on so many more that I want to try. So if you try one, come and like tell us about it. I would love to hear it.
Absolutely. So listen, go ahead and take a tour through the repo. Start the repo, please. Let's give it the stars and take a look at those issues that are already there. The help wanted ones. Join the Discord. The Discord is chef's kiss. Like I joined, and 2 seconds later, somebody was saying hi to me, and I'm like, wait, real people are saying real things. You're welcome. So that's awesome. So highly recommend for sure. And go experiment, friends. That's what this is for. What's up, Wally? Thank you all so much for being here. Angie, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
To have you. Yes.
See you all around.
All right. We'll see you soon. I hope this is not the only time that we're going to have Angie here. Thank you, Angie. Folks, you have to go follow Angie on all socials and go give stars to Goose. Like, do it.
Oh
do
my
it
gosh.
now. Do it now.
What an amazing project, Andrea. I'm
so excited because I need to go back. See, now it's going to take my money because I ran out of the free things that I had to test things. So now I got to, but now that I see all these possibilities with the extensions, and how about building our own little protocol for something, our own little extension for something. Like, this is a fun project we can blog about. That lady
Absolutely.
dev, minds are spinning. So I super appreciate you being here and hosting this together. We never done this before.
Yeah. I
This
know
was
we
a-
should do it again. This was really
should.
good. But thanks for joining, everybody. We will see you next week for
You got
Open
next
Source
week?
Friday.
Who are you gonna be with next week? Let's share with our friends here. They want to know. I think
Top
you have
of mind.
I think you have Cecil. Is it Cecil next week for
Coupon.
it's the 21st of February
I
next
believe
week,
it's a
friends.
Python. I believe it's a
Okay.
Python project called Reflex.
Okay.
And so we're able to build apps with Python like on the front end, which is crazy.
Okay.
So I'm very excited about that. Please join us next week for that.
Okay. And make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Oh my gosh, we're gonna live without saying roses. Y'all, go enter this contest, please. Go read Angie's poem. I am like, she's not only an amazing engineer and leader, but she's also a poet. So go to gh.io roses, and I'm not even gonna say what it is. Just go there. That's how it is. The element of surprise. It's like, what is this thing? Just go check it out. Go check it out. You'll like it. You'll like it. All right, I'm gonna leave y'all with a video of the best news that have come. Something that's cheaper than Cowboy Carter tickets. Copilot free. I think anything that's cheaper than Copilot. All right, friends. See you next week for another Open Source Friday. We love you. We appreciate you. Go to Roses, Star Goose. I better see more stars on that repo today. Lady, I'll see you later at work. Happy V-Day to all those who celebrate, and we'll catch you next week. Take care now.
Bye.